Welcome, everyone. We are live on our daily success call. John Lavenia here with you and with so many beautiful people today, including and especially Tina Burns sitting there outside of El Capitan in Yosemite. Good to see you, Tina. And we got Elizabeth here, Jay's here, of course, Kelly and Joe, Amber, good to see, Bob, Missy, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. There's Alec. Deborah's driving. Drive safe, Deborah. Good to see you. Janice is here. Rich. Scott, you're somewhere in the Victorian something, the Dark Ages. I don't know where that is. That's cool.
That's from Harry Potter.
Oh, Harry Potter. You're at not Mordor. What's it called?
Hogwarts.
That's it. Mordor, right?
That's Lord of the Rings.
Liz, Scott, good to see you guys. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Good to see everyone here. We're going to have a fun little conversation today about something that I think will help you be happy. And I'll tell you what, when I feel good, I do good. When I do good, my stats are good and I make money, right? So that's what we're looking to do here, right? We're looking to profit from this whole experience. None of you showed up here just for a hobby. No? Okay, great. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and offer you some ideas about how you can profit from something that feels like a hobby. So there's a concept that I wrote about in my first book, Interest Renders Aptitude. I gave an example, and the example was trigonometry. Okay, so back when I was in high school, part of the academic path was to take higher level math. And I did the algebra, I did the geometric equations, and then trigonometry, right? Trigonometry. And I sucked at trigonometry. I was like, I'm just not getting it. And so I wound up trading out of that class for, other classes, and just decided that I wasn't going to pursue, being a mathematician or something, because the next step would have been calculus. And the end result of all that would have been what? I don't know. Am I going to use this stuff in my life? Am I like inspired to go be an engineer and build bridges and stuff? No, it's just not my thing. Now, other people, they freaking loved it, right? Well, I'm guessing they did. But like, trigonometry. Okay, me, not so much. And so in retrospect, looking back, I apparently had no aptitude for trigonometry. I just wasn't getting it. And like the calculators are really big and there's all these symbols on there. And I'm like, when am I going to use this in my life? Now, I had no aptitude because I had no interest in it. If I could find, and maybe this was the failings of modern academia or whatever, but if I could find some usefulness for that in my life, well, now I'm interested. And guess what I would have done? I would have developed an aptitude for that. Just like I developed an aptitude for all these other things that I'm obviously very interested in. How about the spoken word and the written word? Oh man, that was my number one subject. They called it English. Okay. By the way, I haven't mastered English. Have you ever seen like a full, dictionary? It has to be multiple volumes because the English language is one of the top 2 most complicated languages in the world. Like English, do we have any English masters here? I'm not one of them. I'm an author and, arguably a wordsmith, but I haven't mastered that language. And yet that was my best subject. Why? Because I was interested. I was interested in this whole communication thing, right? I found use for that in my life at an early age. So now thinking about all the other things that I've been interested in my life, these are things where I've developed certainly an aptitude, and depending on how much interest I actually had in the long range, I developed like a passion for. Like I would do that whether I got, anybody ever say this to yourself? I would do that whether I got paid for it or not. Have you ever heard somebody like in a job, like they just really love their job? Man, I would do this if I got paid or not. Now, of course, they got to get paid, right? And so do you. You got to get paid. But things that we do and don't get paid for are called hobbies. Video games, although I hear that there's like kids making money on different websites, like doing videos of their video gameplay and like giving the tips or whatever. I don't know. Last video game I really got immersed in was decades ago. It was called Quake. Anybody know what Quake is? It's a first-person shooter game, and everybody's running around. You're killing monsters and stuff, and there's splattering bodies. And it was fantastic, great game. Um, but who's got time for that? Now it was a hobby. I paid to play that. I paid not only in terms of, sell me the software and the computer to run it on, okay, but I also paid in terms of my time, my investment of attention and effort and whatever. And to what end? And to what end? Did it profit me to do that? I suppose arguably we could say, well, my reaction time is really good, because after all, when you got monsters trying to kill you or whatever, you got to be quick on that mouse, right? You got to know your stuff. Okay, so that's good. I like having quick reaction times. I suppose that could serve me if I was ever in a scenario, an actual zombie apocalypse or something. But for the most part, I would say it didn't pay me. It didn't pay me to be involved in that. I see a couple people here: King Kong, Mortal Kombat. Okay, very cool. So so that was a hobby, right? I've taken up other hobbies and then released them. I famously have announced here that I do not golf, right? For me, that was a hobby that I took up at the behest of other people who thought I would enjoy that thing. And I guess I'm just not that interested, right? I mean, I get the mechanics of it, but making my body and the hips and the knee has to go first, and then the club, and then the slice and the cut, and oh my goodness, I'm like, you know what? I sold my golf club. So not my thing. Not my thing. Now, other people play golf, not only as a hobby that they enjoy, but they get paid to do it. They're called professionals. So the line of demarcation between hobby and profession, or vocation and avocation is a hobby, okay, versus a vocation, which is what you get paid for. So the line of demarcation between amateur, hobbyist, pro, right, would be, which direction is the money flowing in? When Tiger Woods shows up to play golf, he gets paid to do it. Okay. So that's the difference right there. Does Tiger Woods still play golf? Is he retired? I don't even know. I don't follow sports. Okay. So here's the consideration. If the line of demarcation between hobbyist and professional is who's getting paid versus who's paying to do that same exact activity, and if we could simplify it down to that, then that does not include, in terms of the threshold between hobbyist and professional, how you feel about it when you're doing it. I would argue that Ted Nicklaus, am I naming a golfer? I think he was a golfer. Tiger Woods, right? Other great golfers, right? They probably love the sport at least as much as the hobbyist, right? In fact, they love it so much that they've developed such an aptitude and a passion for it that now the world throws money at them to do it. Does that mean that it's drudgery now? Like suddenly, now that I'm getting paid, now this sucks. And look, that could happen too. It's not required. Okay. But I remember back when I was in the music business, talking with one of my mentors, who was the singer and manager of another band. He said to me, you know what, John, I liked the music business more when I was a fan. So now that we're doing this, booking the shows, dealing with agents and all, I liked it better when I was a fan. Yay. Right. So there is that, where the bloom comes off the rose, right? There is that reality too. So my offer you today is to be conscious of that and to not let that be you, right? Does that have to happen, that the bloom has to come off the rose? Or are there things that we can find about our profession, which you've chosen, you signed up for this. Nobody held a gun to your head. You said, I want to do e-commerce. Okay, great. But there are things that you can find where you not only engage with your natural interests, which means you've got an aptitude for those things and you'll probably be pretty good at it. Okay. But that you can also find ways to massage or to innovate or to make things fit into your repertoire so that it's not drudgery. Now, look, for some of us, that's going to be outsourcing, right? And I know for our advanced members here, working with Adam and Rachel and the launch group, right? So there are ways to get more done in less time. Just before we went live here, Joe, my friend Joe, was mentioning, just getting a lot out there, right? Getting a lot out. And on the creative side, that may or may not be, her thing. That may not be my post to be as creative, although other people, right, they're creative. And look, does anyone have like a truly original idea, like a new truth or something? I mean, Johann Goethe said all intelligent thoughts have already been thought. All we got to do is think them again. Okay. So there is this thing called, plagiarism, and using it in a good way now. Okay. We get ideas from outside, things that already exist, and then we can massage those. And I mean, how creative do I actually have to be? Yeah, personalize. And look, in the marketing world where I'm very active, I get junk mail every day. Somebody wrote that copy, right? Sometimes it's good copy. Okay, well, thanks. Send me some free ideas. That's fantastic. Thanks so much, right? That doesn't mean I'm ripping them off. That just means you're giving me ideas. And now I can go ahead and massage that into, here's my, promotional email or whatever. Great. So how creative do you have to be? In fact, Rachel has talked to, I think, all of you in this group about the simplicity of this. White mug, black text, yawn, right? It says the artist, but the artist has a different, level of interest and aptitude in, the creative itself, in the aesthetics of it. On the other hand, we see, people that are more inclined towards aesthetics, and they do very well also. I would say do what comes easily at first and then scale up from there. Had I been onboarded into trigonometry with a proper gradient, right? And some relevance, right? Here's the usefulness of this, little Johnny. Here's how you're going to use this for the rest of your life. I probably would have been like, yeah, sign me up. Sign me up, damn it. Right? I'm going to be a trigonometry master. But no. Okay. So finding and coupling relevance with the actions that you're going to undertake. Okay. Some of which you may not undertake personally, some of which you may farm out. Some of which you may just go ahead and say, look, a necessary evil, I got to get it done. You get it done. And then next thing you know, you set up systems to do those things. And that thing that took you 2 hours the first time now takes you 45 seconds, right? Because you got systems set up, or you've got habits that you've put in place. But the point is, you're not going to develop the habits if they're not rewarding for you. The reason why my golf instructor was able to put a ball down on the grass, pick up any club and hit that club perfectly every single time is because he's hit millions of golf balls, millions. And so here I am, right? The neophyte, right? I can't do what he does. Okay. But he was interested enough, long enough to hit millions of golf balls. And now he could do it without even thinking. We could see this in our own lives with things that we've become expert at. And all of you have something. Okay. And we could use the word dharma here, right? I don't know, any of you have studied any of the Hindu scripture and stuff. Dharma, like a purpose in life, your unique combination of talents and abilities, right? It's why you're here, right? The dharma. Okay, so is there something where you can recognize of yourself? Yeah, I rock, man. I am awesome at that. I am awesome at that. And then can you also recognize that how you get leverage in your life is by cooperating with other people who are awesome at other stuff that you're not awesome at. I heard from one of my mentors, Bob Proctor. He said, you want to develop your strengths and manage your weaknesses. Develop your strengths and manage your weaknesses. Sounds cool. All right, well, how do I manage my weaknesses? Via the strengths of others. That's how you get leverage. That's how you manage your weaknesses, because it's his strength. It's not mine. And so I have a secret weapon in my life, and it's called my wife. And some of you have, I think, seen her on a broadcast here and there. We're all over the internet. But she's really good at stuff that I'm not good at. I'm just not that interested in. She's interested. Well, fantastic. You'd be good at that, right? I'm not looking for a mirror. I didn't marry a mirror, right? So, and again, I'll put my attention on like Joe and Kelly. I know they've got a working business relationship where they have different strengths. Fantastic. Right. So then I guess the question for everyone is, do you have allies? Do you have partners? Do you have people who, and I don't necessarily mean like a full-blown business partner, because that's a dangerous road too. Right. Now, one person's doing 90% of everything. The other person can barely show up. I've seen that too many times. And you don't I mean, in this sort of a business, you don't need like a whole lot of like investors or anything like that. It's a very accessible, low outlay, low risk approach that you're taking. However, that doesn't negate the advantage of having other people in your midst who could do things better than you because they're simply more interested than you are. Look, in our launch group, and for our new members who don't know what I'm talking about, go through the accelerator program. You're going to be exposed to what we do with our advanced group here. It's called Launch 100. But the people who are engaged in that are not alone in this. In fact, we could say right now, everyone, even if you're just 1 hour, into the system here, quite obviously, I mean, look around, you're not alone. Okay. So just that one thing, even if it's just emotional, inspirational, psychological support or whatever you get out of these talks that we do here, right? That's not something you can do on your own, right? I can't, right? I suppose I could sit in the corner and talk to myself or whatever, and that may or may not be therapeutic, but alas, right? We don't have to, but we've got a group. How fortuitous, how wonderful. We have a group. So these are things we can't just do on our own. And in fact, when we look at the whole system that we're engaged in here, the system of buying and selling online and the ways of working with products and exchange and capital and what I would call cooperativism, right? It's labeled capitalism, but it really should be called cooperativism, because here you have people voluntarily exchanging with each other. Even that you can't do alone. It's you and your customer. It's cooperation everywhere we look. Voluntary cooperation. Spectacular, right? And we're engaged in that. Again, how fortuitous that we showed up here in 2021 doing this whole e-commerce thing, right? I'll end off with this, and I'd love to hear any perspectives on this, because it may seem like I'm kind of running around a bunch of different topics right now. But I just had a conversation briefly with someone who was experiencing a problem. Does anyone here have any problems? No. Fantastic, right? It was just this person, right? They're very unique. And they were experiencing a problem. And what is a problem, right? It's something that stands in the way of you getting what you want, right? So here's my intention and here's what's stopping me from getting it. So you think, right? So there's the problem. Okay. And this problem was one that was created because of, because of their choice to go down the path that includes those kinds of problems. So I say, well, pick your problems, right? Look, there's other people in the world who have different problems. I don't want their problems. I'll take my problems, right? You get to pick your problems here, right? Oh, I got technical issues and oh my goodness, the website and the stuff. Okay. I mean, there's other people who, you don't want their problems, right? They got like real problems. Right? We got like first world problems around here. Gratitude. So back to the original point that I was making. When I feel good, I do good. And what's a sure way to elevate my level of inspiration, my emotional whatever, right? To just start noticing things that I have and that I'm grateful for, right? Because what's the alternative, right? And so then my emotional state goes up. It's not so much drudgery. Yeah, I'm dealing with problems, but I chose this, right? And we'll get through it. We'll get through this stuff. And that's why we're going to get through it, because look at the goal. Look at the goal. Keep your eye on where you're going, right? And then, the mountains become molehills. And the next thing you know, you're like, rolling in money and everybody thinks you're special. Wow, you're amazing. What's your secret? I love you guys. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop rambling now. Whoever's got some thoughts, please raise hands. Come on out. I'd love to hear from you. In this fun season, December 1st, my goodness, 'tis the season to sell stuff online. Fa la la. La la. Anybody have some thoughts on this? My favorite line from that song, Alec, my favorite line from that song, Deck the Halls? Don we now our gay apparel. I looked up the words, and don means to put on, like clothing, gay, happy, apparel. So now we put on our happy clothes. Don we now our gay apparel. Now we put on our happy clothes. What do you think about that, Al? Have you donned your happy clothes, Alec?
I have Like, don't get me wrong, everybody does have their bad days, but have I put on my happy clothes? Quite
Yeah,
often, actually.
donned your gay
Just
apparel. Come on, man.
just I know like lately I have been quiet with everybody. And it's not so much that I'm quiet because, oh well, you know, whatever. No, it's because like Sunday I gave myself a goal and then didn't really remember it until I talked to you on Monday. And so again, Monday gave myself a goal. And I I'm pretty much like right at completing that goal. I mean, I did come to the class and my goal was to post a few different products.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you all were talking about producing and you know the difference between profit and hobby. And this I do feel goes both ways in the profit and hobby. I mean, sure, everybody wants to make money, but I mean, why can't I just do this because I want to?
Well, of course you can. You just said you can't. So are you telling me the truth? You can't?
I'm telling you that I can't be who everybody else wants me to be. I can't just like I never really understood because I always thought I had this sleeping problem. And then you were talking about playing games and everything right now.
Mhm.
And that was and you were right, you know, growing up I did feel like, hey, you know what? Let me go and play some games, kill some time. And then I got to college and I went to I was living in California at the time. And all of a sudden it just seemed like my my PlayStation was a waste of time. So as I started getting older, it just seemed like I wasn't doing anything. So sleeping was a waste of time. So that's why I mean I try to stay as active as possible. I mean, hey, even if I get tired, cup of coffee, that'll fix it. I'll
Okay.
be good.
Well, Alec, here's the thing. You are on the path just like everybody is. And I'm seeing in the chat where somebody said be you. And I think the whole idea of, drudgery or force or I have to, all that kind of stuff that renders, for me anyway, lower senses, lower emotions, right? I think we can probably just go ahead and jettison that stuff and just be like, you know what, I am good enough. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my best with what I'm working with, right? And then I'll be able to scale up from there. But something that was said in a classic book called Wake Up and Live, since we're talking about sleeping. Wake Up and Live by Dorothea Brand, written in 1936, 37, came out right around the same time as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, classic book. But she turned her whole life around with one line turned her whole life around. And it was act as though it were impossible to fail. That's it. Act as though it were impossible to fail. Change her whole life, her business, everything, right? Became rich and famous, blah, blah, blah. Jolanta says sleep is necessary. Arguably, yes. You know what, Jolanta? It's an inconvenience of having a body. I got to feed it and rest it. And it's, oh my goodness, can't I just do this without a body? No, I can't. Crap. All right, let's get some sleep then. Let's get Scott out here. Scott's had his hand up for 100 years. Scott, what thinks you, sir?
Yes, I'm just thinking, if you find yourself with a
Ups. Scott, I just accidentally muted you. Sorry, brother. Come on up. Come back out here, Scott. There he is.
Now, it just occurred to me that you may have had an experience with trigonometry that was a bit daunting, and maybe if you had an experience with a lesser mathematical challenge, or maybe a better teacher, then it would have produced a different label of yourself in your own mind. And what I'm thinking is, if you have this perception of incompetence, maybe if you'd done a little bit better incrementally at what was challenging, then you would do a little better, and then you would feel a little better, and then incrementally it would lead to mastery, but only because not of the tasks, but because the reality about yourself that you accepted as true. You say that I'm not good at this or I'm not good at that. That's a reality based on the experiences you've had. It doesn't actually represent the truth. I think we have to. I don't trust feelings, because so often they're just the result of programming from years ago. And if you'd had different experiences, different programming, you'd be a different person. I think the challenge is to take charge of that programming yourself, so you don't let experiences dictate how you define yourself. That's how I see it, anyway.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. So that's very subjective, right? Why did you end up, with the strengths and aptitudes that you have as Scott Barker, and here's John Lavenia? We're different guys, right? You're sitting over there in Hogwarts, and here I am in Phoenix, Arizona, right? So we've got different strengths and aptitudes. So yeah, there is, as Jolanta's saying, the gut, right? We are inspired for something. And while we can't be all things to all people, as Alec just reminded us, right? We can stand for something, and we damn well better, I think. And that's a subjective choice.
But,
right?
But John, what if it is the case that we actually do only use 5 or even 10% of our potential? Then there's 90% there, and that would just change everything about what we can do and what we're good at. We have no idea, absolutely, literally no idea what we could do. And that to me is exciting, because it means that there's a trigger, a key. If we could turn the key, we could unlock potential, and then once you become competent, your interest range expands to everything. I think that's someone like Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was probably like that. He was fortunate; he found himself to be good at so many different things, and so his mind wandered into very diverse areas all the time. And he was probably just loving every moment of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't meet the guy, but yeah, he did some good work. At least I don't remember meeting him. Thank you, Scott. Glad you're here. For anyone who's interested, I just saw Arlene asked about that book, Wake Up and Live. I just put a link to it in the chat. It's out of copyright, so here's a free copy. Enjoy. The first 4 chapters, she's going to take your head off, just in case you're not ready for that. The first 4 chapters are all about victimhood and failure, and why you love it and why you choose it over and over and over again. And then she gives you a Band-Aid on chapter 5. So good luck reading that. Scott, thank you. Who else? Who else has some thoughts on whatever our topic is today? No one. That's it. I put you all to sleep. Yes. Oh, Lawton.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
Sorry, did you need to mute me when I just tuned in?
No, you had already unmuted yourself, and then you just made yourself known by raising your hand so I could see and call on you.
Yeah. No, I found myself laughing when I tuned in, and then I said, oops, was I unmuted? I'm going to be very honest, because this is supposed to be centered around personal development, self-development, self-improvement, and all this thing. Am I right?
Well, yeah, that's my wheelhouse. I'm not here to give you tech support.
Yeah. So when I tuned in, I saw Alec. Is it Alec Martinez speaking?
Yes.
And he triggered something within me. Part of it was laughter, because I'm being very honest here, because we need to be honest, right? And part of it was that there's something, because maybe I should sort of put myself on camera, because that's not fair, because he's on camera.
There you are. You're gorgeous. Yeah. That was worth the wait. There's Lawton, everybody.
Alec reminded me of my son, my youngest son. And I tell you what reminded me, Alec, and this is love. Because let me say this, there's no real development of human beings possible without love. Read all the books you like, but unless it is underpinned by that thing that we need to rediscover, which is true love, we will develop intellectually. They talk about emotional intelligence, and yet it will not take us to our true potential. So here's some love. As I listened to Alex and I felt his energy, it reminded me of my son, and it triggered in me the very thing that I have to keep on about with my son. Get your room together. Get your room together. I tell you this, you can spout about all and wax lyrical about, but quite often it's very simple. And the message is not to be who you are, because you don't know what that is, any of us. Because we're at a certain version, we're operating from a certain version of ourselves right now. And that isn't the highest version. The whole point of life, I think it was Maharishi Yogi who said something to the effect of the natural tendency of life is to grow and progress. And that is true. So you plant a seed, the natural tendency of that seed is to germinate, to grow, to develop. That applies to all life forms, including us human beings. So the thing is not to accept yourself and the complexity of yourself as you are right now, because that is not truly who you are at the highest version of yourself. And you've got to start with the things that are around you. It is a basic universal principle, particularly for human beings, that how sensitive you are to the environment. I mean, my room isn't the greatest right now. It could be better. So it's a matter of degree. But I would say, hey, by the time we check Alec again and you tune in, surprise us, because the effort it takes. Somebody mentioned about being in the body, and would you be able to do more if you weren't? No, because we're in the physical world. The body is a very precious gift. We have to develop that as well, make sure it's fed properly, exercise properly, etc., etc. But the way we grow, and this is why we are in the body, we're in it, but not of it. Many of us are aware of out-of-body experiences, or we know of people who've had it, which proves that we are more than the physical body. So, but we're in the physical body, and the way we grow that part of ourselves, which is not physical, which people call the spirit, which is your true self, is you've got to grow to your higher version of yourself through paying attention to your physical environment. So to the extent that Alec sort of beautify his environment, make it more neat, to that extent, you're not just working on your room, you're working on yourself simultaneously. And to the extent that you improve your environment, your room as it is, to a better state, you are actually improving your own personal inner state. You're exercising the body, mind, and spirit in order to make your environment more pleasant, more neat, more tidy. So that's love. I love you, Alex. This is why I'm saying this to you. I probably love you more than the rest because they knew the elephant that was in the room and they said nothing. They wanted to, but they skirt around it. We haven't got time to waste in the times that we now live. Love has got to be much more direct. There you go, I'm done.
Thank you, Lawton. Thank you for your perspectives and for your love. It is so good to have you here. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Nadia, and then I think we're going to wrap up for today. Hey, Nadia, come on out.
Hi there. How are you guys doing?
I'm great.
Good. I'm so glad. I just wanted to pop on there with some of the tag on to what the last gentleman was saying. I kind of feel for Alec, but at the same time, I want to encourage him too. I don't know what he is working with, but as far as me, I definitely am working with ADD, and I just want to throw some science in there as well. My ADD brain and a lot of ADD brains are, as far as getting productivity, and so the ADD brain has this amazing ability to kind of be the first to catch everything going on. You know, the best Maasai warriors they have are the ones with ADD. But as far as noticing what things have already have their place and don't need to be dealt with, the ADD brain, we're kind of like a person who goes into a file folder looking for a specific file, but each item in that file folder, our brain doesn't know how to say, oh, I've seen that one, I've been there, I've done that. It kind of has to look at every single folder in that file drawer every single time. So for me, and I guess I'm talking about this because I'm really excited. I just organized my workspace, and I've already noticed a difference. I took some kitchen items out of my office because I didn't have any other room, and I kind of switched things around. And now every time I look at my kitchen items, I don't have to think about it and have to think about the plan, about what I'm going to do, and the 7 other things that I have to do related to that. I just look at the books that are there instead, and I think about, the notebooks and all the goals that pertain to the notebooks that I have to achieve. So I'm thinking about work now instead of my kitchen and the 7 other things I have to do, because my brain can't help it. It doesn't know how to just shut all that off. It can shut things off, but then it'll shut off everything. So in any case, 3 cheers to what the guy said. All the best to Alec, and thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad you're here, Nadia. And more to come. We are just getting going here. So let's go ahead and wrap up, guys. We're coming up on the top of the hour. It is the 1st of December. So we got the whole month to get a lot done. I'm really excited for everyone here who's here now. What a great time to get an e-commerce business going. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with that. Look, I'll be back here with you all on Friday. Karen's going to be here with you tomorrow. So tune into her stuff, and anything we can do for you, please reach out to your accountability reps. We are here for you. Okay. You guys have a great day.